Hello and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition Quirks video where we test bugs, farms, tutorials, and other game testing mechanics. And in today's video, what we're going to be taking a look at is the mob spawners and how they operate. My name is TNC Cuban, so let's jump right on in and see what we've got. So you guys may or may not recognize this nice piece of chunk of land that's sitting right here behind me, but this nice piece of chunk of land actually came out of my NinjaCraft Let's Play series, which is going to be in the iCard above for you guys' convenience to go and check it out. Anyways, this nice piece of chunk of land has a skeleton spawner in it, and I've ripped it out of my Let's Play world with a structure block and brought it over here in one giant piece, so that way we can go over the mechanics of how these things operate. So first things first, these spawners will show up and generate in a Minecraft world in what they call a dungeon. Yes, this is called a dungeon. I don't know why they call it a dungeon, but that's what they call it, is a dungeon. So what they do is they generate in the world, and they generate anywhere from about, I want to say Y7 all the way up to like Y, like, I don't know, the mountains go up to I think 90, maybe not as high as 90. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they generate pretty much anywhere in your world throughout the caves. And the way you usually find them is if you're going through your caves and lighting them up, as you should be, you'll go ahead and find a spawner or two. They may be skeletons, they may be spiders, and they may be zombies, but most commonly, or in the Bedrock kind of like code for when they do world generation, 50% of the spawners are going to be zombie, 25% of them are going to be skeletons, and then another 25% is going to be regular spiders. And then of course they don't include this on the Minecraft wiki about the cave spiders, but cave spiders, those spawners are always inside of abandoned mine shafts underground. And in case you guys didn't know, these spawners, what they do is they spawn mobs in the game. Let me go ahead and take these torches away, and look at that. So we'll get our first set of skeletons. Let me go ahead and put the torch back because I don't want any more of you guys just kind of hanging out. And so it will constantly keep spawning mobs like this for you, in which you can farm. And as you guys can see, whenever I kill him, he drops experience and he drops items. So yeah, we can definitely turn this into a sort of farm. However, there are a few things that we do need to kind of maybe understand and learn about these spawners in order to be able to farm them properly. Now, in the first scenario in which we are in right now, currently, you guys can see that there is no torches on this spawner. And if I go ahead and, let's see, can we kill you? Yes. Let's, oh, there's a block in the way. Let's take you out, and then we should very shortly see another one spawn. Okay, see, did it poof? Where did it spawn? Okay, he spawned right here. Yeah, there he is. So basically what this is and how this is working is the spawner will test and check for mobs around itself, right? So within a certain area. Now I found out that, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks below the spawner, if it can detect 6 or more skeletons that have spawned from that particular spawner, it will not summon anymore. As you guys can tell from right here, there's no more spawning in. Well, I mean, I do have the torches here. Let's take those away, and boom, there you go. So yeah, no more skeletons are spawning in. And a spawner will spawn or try to spawn more mobs every 10 to 40 seconds. It's kind of random in which time it chooses, but yeah, so every 10 to 40 seconds, it will try and check and see if there's any other mobs around. Now, the next thing to note is the fire particles that are actually in and around this spawner. Now, we are in the beta, which is why you cannot see the skeleton inside this the spawning cage. But the fact that it still shows the fire particles still gives us some more information about the spawner. For an example, if I come all the way to the back of this little platform that I've made, you can see that the fire particles disappear. And if we kind of move forward just one block, we can see that the fire particles come back. If we take a look, that is because 16 point, actually I think it's like 15.5 blocks away, the spawner will activate. If you go any further away from it, and I think if we go halfway, like a little bit more, let's see, right there. Yes. Okay, so yes, 15.5 blocks. We're a little bit more than halfway back from this block, and we can see that the spawner turns off. Now, another thing that you will need to know about mob spawners and dungeons is that the mob that they spawn needs to match the light level that they require in order to spawn. If you guys didn't notice or realize, we are actually at night and it is actually dark. So whenever I break this torch, more mobs will spawn because they match the light level needed in order to spawn. But as soon as we go ahead and place this torch down, the mobs will no longer spawn because the spawner is in a light level that is higher than what is required for skeletons to actually spawn in the world. I know that sounded a little complicated, but I hope you guys understood what I meant. Basically, the mobs won't spawn unless it's dark. So we've learned that mobs need to be in the dark. There cannot be more than 6 within 5 blocks of the spawner itself. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at how the mobs spawn. Now, if you look this up on the Minecraft wiki, you'll start to see where they say this type of mob will spawn in like 4.5 blocks away, 3.2 blocks away, 3.1, it gets really confusing, and the best way to look at it is to not worry about the 0.5 of a block and just to kind of look at the entire block system. So basically, whenever a spawner spawns a mob, it will spawn it 4 blocks in each direction away, being the furthest direction away, and also 1 block above and 1 block below the actual spawner. So if it spawns a skeleton like on this top block, it will spawn its feet like basically right on top of this spawner. And then if there's no room, it'll kind of push the mob to the side, but we won't get into those kinds of mechanics. So yeah, the mob spawner will spawn mobs within this parameter. Now on the Java edition, it is a little bit different, but on Bedrock edition, basically and essentially what we'll want to do is we'll want to make a drop chute. So basically an area where when the mobs spawn from the spawner, they will spawn in, like we'll say right there where that white block is, and then they'll just drop down to the ground, right? Well, we don't necessarily want them to drop all the way to the ground. We just want to make sure that the mobs are no longer within the radius of the spawner's detection zone. So how do we go about doing that? Well, if we take a look, we can actually build a diamond of sorts, or kind of like a sideways square, however you decide that you want to look at it, and we'll want to kind of maybe clear out the entire area. So if we come over here and we take a look at what the mob spawner originally looks like, and you find it and you're kind of happy, you come in and you're like, oh cool, I finally found a spawner. If you take a look at the actual dungeon that they actually sit in, the blocks on the inside are actually 4 blocks wide right here. So now we can actually use this space to kind of help us, you know, figure out where exactly we need to place our blocks to kind of build this up in the proper direction. So again, 1, 2, 3, and then there is the 4th spot. And then again on this side, 1, 2, 3, and then if we break this one out, we have our 4th spot. Now, because I didn't take the entire, I guess, thing around the spawner with us, on the 5th block is where you'll want to have a wall, and then on each corner, you'll want to kind of start setting up your borders and where your mobs are going to spawn. Now, obviously, you would not want to use sea lanterns because the lights from the sea lanterns will keep this mob from spawning mobs. I was just using it because it was what was in my inventory. So now we can kind of see where we're going to be placing our walls and kind of set up for our spawner killing or collection, however you want to look at it, chamber. Which if we come right over here to the next chamber over, you can see that I have already kind of gotten things set up in that manner of which I was talking about. So 4 blocks away from each spawner, on each side, we've kind of built this diamond all the way up and all the way down. And if we take a look, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks away from the actual spawner. So usually a good rule of thumb that I like to do is to have mobs drop 10 blocks. So that way they're more than enough of space between the spawner and where the actual mobs are. And then what you can do down here, which I have already kind of set up for the water flowing system, where if you break these ice blocks where they pretty much are in this wall, you can actually get the water to flow all the way right here, and it'll actually push the skeletons in a manner of which you need. So we'll break this one, we'll break this one. Those are going to be 2 water sources, then 3, 4, and then we got 5, and then 6 water sources. And all of this water will push the mobs all the way up to this point. Now, the next thing that you would need to do so that way you can get them into your bubble vader and then into your killing chamber is just to kind of break this block right here, and then the water will continue to flow. Now, I put the button here so that way the water wouldn't flow all the way out and make a mess of things. But that's pretty much the best way you can build this system up, so that way you can have the mobs drop out of the spawner's range and kind of spawn more. So the sooner that you're able to get the mobs out of the spawner's range, the sooner that you can get the mob spawner to spawn more skeletons. Which of course means the more skeletons that you get means more spawns means more XP, and that means more drops also. And it kind of basically puts the farm in a very efficient manner. Now, if you guys are a little like me in the sense that you think that this diamond-shaped kind of like killing system or farming system is complicated, I agree. I think it's complicated also. So for my personal preference, what I like to do is I like to actually mine out the entire area. Now, similarly, this is still 1, 2, 3, and 4 blocks away from the spawner, so we can maximize the area that the mobs will spawn in. However, like I said, instead of doing the diamond shape, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go 4 blocks out and dig out the entire square, which means you can manipulate the water in a different manner instead of kind of like in the corners and like weird places. You can essentially put the water all along the back right here, and then 2 more water sources like right over there. So let me go ahead and break this down. And then you guys can see that the water is going to push us all the way over to this edge right here. And then once it pushes us to the edge, the water cannot extend any further because it's, really kind of like that thin line. But it will push the skeletons over into this next part right here. And then to get to the mobs to kind of maybe push a little bit further, just throw a couple of water sources right here on the edge. If I can break that water source. And you can see how we kind of get pushed all the way over to where our button stops the water again. Now, as the same thing what we've done over there and kind of broke the block underneath it, if we needed to break this block to extend our water, we definitely can. And let me show you guys real quick. And there you go, that's how you can get the water to extend all the way to your bubble vader with the mobs. Now, there is more information I can give you guys about the bubble vaders with the mob spawners, but I think that's just gonna have to be a video for another day because, well, each mob you're gonna have to use in a bubble vader in its own individual manner. For an example, spiders, they have a completely different hitbox, and the same thing with zombies. They have a different hitbox than skeletons. So we're gonna leave the video here with that, and on the next time we do talk about these spawners, we'll start talking about how you can bubble vade them up into a killing chamber or into a killing area. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys really did enjoy. If you did, make sure you look for that subscribe button, hit the subscription and the bell notification. Then if you really like the video, go over to that thumbs up and karate chop that like button. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys all on the flip side.